We pass sweeping corridors of wafting candle smoke and high archways decorated with black stones and painted portraits of the heavenly order bowing before some omnipotent being. Who or what that being is, only God knows, for surely it is not he, but some impostor, some false idol that the vampires look to. It is a black-robed figure aglow in a halo of red. Remembering the 6 carnal Risi appearing at Wolfgang Manor in their holy robes and masks condemns my memory to pain. The blasphemy and evil plots of the vampire show no boundaries. My abduction, the turning of my mother, and their impersonation of the Holy Order. As I limp along the cold bones of the accursed place, I notice the skeletons in the walls becoming less and less frequent as the 3 of us exit the dark chamber through heavy wooden doors. Passing through a macabre archway made of decaying corpses, the voices I heard earlier seem delighted at my arrival. All at once I am bombarded with the moaning of the damned, disembodied words reaching my ears as wisps of light pass through the stretched skin of decaying bodies. Release us! Save us! God, please forgive me! My pace quickens as I bump into the back of Vargas, nearly grabbing him in fright as a scared boy who would to his brave father. There is no reaction as he continues forward, never stopping, never breaking his stride. All of these trapped souls, isn't it marvelous? Martyr whispers into my ear from behind me. There is a slight glee in his voice. Just think, all this potential in the dark cathedral, spirit energy at our beck and call. Listen to their woes, listen to their cries. It's what makes this place so strong, more so than ever before. It is built upon the bones of acolytes, devotees to the cause. They didn't die in vain. Well, not all of them. I feel Martyr's bony hand clasp over my shoulder as he leans to point something out in front of me. There, look. Some of them still alive. Following his gesture, I stare in horror at what lies before me. A creature, no, a thing. Still living and breathing, barely. It reaches towards us as we pass, grasping at the air. Sinewy tendons hold it imprisoned in the wall like a grotesque living portrait. What is it? I ask through trembling lips, but my answer is Martyr laughing to himself. What sort of place is this? God, where are you? We come to the base of a staircase that spirals upward into oblivion, a cylindrical well mortared with black stones. Giant cathedral windows rise vertically along the walls of more trapped acolytes squirming in their cocoons. Stained glass illuminates the floor with dim hues of red, oranges, and purple. An open window sends a chilly breeze through the stairwell corridor, stirring Vargas's hair and blowing out some of the candles lining the inner well. Thousands of candles glitter in the pale light of night as we ascend each blackened stone. Young boys in what priestly garb make their way up and down the many steps, frantically tending to extinguished wicks and disheveled red curtains. Not all of the windows have been opened as we pass. I can tell the boys are trying their hardest not to look at me. Yet one particular boy stares at me. His eyes never leave mine as we exchange glances of sadness and pity. I catch him looking at the many holes running along my neck and arms. Suddenly, he pulls the sleeve down on his own robe, hiding what I've already noticed, the same feeding marks. Quickly, he goes back to tending the curtains as we continue our ascent, Martyr behind me giving his unwanted tour of this terrible hell. Those are our balcony boys. They tend to the cathedral's every whim day and night. They are the prodigies of our acolytes, ones destined to serve in the light of God. Martyr laughs at his own joke as I watch another pair of servant boys' robes turn red and purple as they draw the curtains of another window. Round and round we go, ever upward and never resting. With my feet sore and legs heavy, I wonder if the pilgrimage through this dark cathedral is my penance for being human. This is my first glimpse into the vampire world and all it holds. Why they do the things they do, Was it really their existence to simply drink the blood of the living, or was there some higher purpose, a cause to their plague over the land? My father never really showed me much about the outside, only how to fight. Vargas stopped suddenly, and I realize we have reached the top. Directly behind him rests a massive double door made from a dark red wood. Trimmed in iron hasps and studs, they stand twice the size of Vargas in height. Martyr moves to pass, but Vargas blocks his way. Are you joking? What the hell is this? Out of my way, you half-wit, says Martyr, but Vargas hardly flinches. He stands firm and stoic as he looks down at the disheveled mess of Martyr. His Holiness says you are needed elsewhere. New arrivals have come into the chapel. See to their recruitment as acolytes. Vargas pauses. By the way, all of the edicts are currently out searching. A look of curiosity pours over Martyr's face. Searching? Searching for what? Vargas lets out a groan. For him, Marcus Cornelius. It is the first time I see the blue in Martyr's eyes as his face contorts in the realization. His receding lips elongate into a wider smile. He backs down the stairs with deranged laughter. Well, now, that makes things very interesting. Forced to go first as I enter the chamber, a blast of warm air greets my face. Massive in size, its pillars reach higher than I can see, disappearing into inky blackness. I hear Vargas close the door behind me with an echoing thump. Immediately my thoughts are of confusion as the smell of cooked meats and bread fills the air. To the right of the room sits a masterfully crafted table carved from redwood as if it were bleeding, polished to a fine sheen. Atop its gorgeously mantled sides rests a feast fit for a king. Plates of roasted chicken, skewers of pork rib, baskets filled with fluffy white rolls, bowls piled with steaming carrots and peas. The colors are enticing, and my first reaction is to move towards sustenance, but something stays my foot as my stomach growls in protest. Ah, the young wolf is awake, slithers a voice from the back of the room. Gloom covers the rear of the chamber like a thick blanket. That voice, where have I heard it before? Your Holiness, I have brought the boy as you requested, said Vargas behind me. The light in the room makes him more massive and intimidating with his blood armor and blood sword. Yes, thank you, Vargas, says the voice from the shadow. Dorian, I trust you weren't treated too poorly. I know you've had quite a journey. Flames burst to life suddenly as a balcony boy tends to the many candles surrounding the figure who was once in shadow. It is a man sitting atop a throne, hunched over, dressed in robes of white and a hat in the fashion of religious regalia. His balding makes his all forehead, despite the long white braid draping down his back. A second balcony boy sits to his left, holding a white cloth stained red to his neck. The boy seems lost and lethargic. I am at loss for words as I stare at the one man who stands as the pinnacle symbol of the church, the one who my family has served and trusted for so many generations, Archbishop Feridon, the second highest ranking official of the Holy Order. I remember him from the many sermons held at Albiston Church in Roland and the stories my father told. Archbishop? What's happening? I don't understand. My hands shake, yet I force words I thought I would never say. Archbishop, you are the head of the Holy Order and Church. You're its leader. Vargas steps forward, raising a hand. That won't be necessary, Vargas. The boy is tired and stressed and no doubt famished. Feridon stands, motioning to the massively long table. Please, won't you join me? As he moves to the table, he calls over his shoulder. That is all, Vargas. The balcony boys hastily follow after Feridon, tending to his every need. Join you? Are you mad? For the first time, I noticed Feridon in a different light. The fact that he looks exactly the same as I've always remembered him. Immaculate porcelain skin, the same creases on his forehead and the crow's feet around his eyes. After all this time, he hasn't aged in the least. Something doesn't feel right, yet I cannot place it. How is it he is here, wherever here is, and the carnal Risi stand as his servants? They obey him. Had the church come to some strange arrangement or resolution? My stomach aches and I can't help but stare at the food spread before me. It is overwhelming and my glands salivate. Yes, eat, my boy. There is plenty. You need to gain your strength, says Feridon with jubilation. Indignant, I glare at him before tearing into the succulent meal, focusing on filling my stomach with the nutrients it needs. I pause every so often to notice Feridon staring at me intently with his piercing blue eyes. I know you must be wondering after all this time why the carnal Risi have done the things they've done to you and brought you here now before me. In time, you will see what is to be offered here, a chance at a new life. A good life, even more grand than the one you were taken from. There was a pause in his words. When the Master returns. When the Master returns, does he mean Cardinal Class, the first in the Holy Order? Was he too in on this dark pact with the vampire? I continue gorging feverishly, eating as much as I can to gain my strength back. I think of my father and what he would do in a situation like this if he was captured and held prisoner by menacing foes. If only I had my sword, I could destroy these monsters and these accomplices. They would taste the fury of the Wolfgang house, taste the power of the prodigal son. As I pack my gullet with food, an idea fills my head and suddenly a plan begins unfolding. A countermeasure that will call for patience. I have no idea what their plans are, but I must bide my time. Keep gaining strength until the time is right. And then, yes, I will do this. For the honor of my bloodline, the honor of my mother and father, yes, the house of Wolfgang will live within me, through me, and never end. I will make you proud, Father. Already the color is returning to your face, says Feridon, standing up from the table. I notice he hasn't eaten a single morsel from the feast. In time you will get to know the corridors of this holy place. Know that it is safe. There is no need to fear any more, Dorian. Feridon moves to stand beside me, running his bejeweled fingers along the smooth table's edge, only to stop over my hand, reaching for a dinner roll. His frozen touch sends uneasy feeling through my shivering body. As he takes my bandaged hand into both of his, he begins unwrapping it delicately, fingering the wound site in a caressing way. I must apologize. They did such a poor job the first time, he says with a smile. In time you will heal. In time all things heal. Gingerly he kisses my hand, and I pull away in horror. The balcony boys become excited by Feridon's actions, giggling and glancing over at one another. His hand moves up my arm, then comes to rest on my shoulder as fear holds me to the chair. His breath smells of copper and cloves as he whispers in my ear. Do not fear, Dorian, for fear makes the blood sour. Summon your courage, muster your strength. In time the Master will come, says Feridon, cradling my face in his hand, and we have all the time in the world. So that's the end of that excerpt from Communion, Book 3, the prologue, point of view of Dorian Wolfgang, son of Wolfgang. So it's kind of pretty exciting that I was able to share that with you today.